What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for another 4-in-1 album review. That's right, I'm covering multiple albums all in one video because I wouldn't be able to get a review out for everything, and you guys seem to enjoy this format anyways, so let's talk about which ones we're going to be going through. We have the Front Bottoms with their new album Going Gray. We also have Movement with their debut full-length Feel Something. We've also got one from a viewer, Dead Roses. It's an EP. It's called Quiet Desperation. And rounding it out, obviously, we have the new Knuckle release. The pop punkers are back with their new full-length project. It's called Shapeshifter. And we're going to talk about all of these projects. And I know I originally said that I was going to include the pop punk band Rome in this, but I wasn't at all impressed with the album. There were a couple of decent songs, but it just didn't merit a spot in this release, so I gave it to Movements instead. Now you're probably already wondering, John, why are you wearing a Beatles shirt whenever you're talking about all of these scene bands, you know, the ones that alternative press loves? Well, if you didn't know, the pop punk OGs are the Beatles. Where do you think Knuckle Puck would be without them? I mean, have you heard A Hard Day's Night? Definitely some pop punk influences in there. That was a joke. Okay? All of you out there wondering, that was a joke. But what's not a joke is the fact that we're going to get into this. We're going to start off with the viewer EP. It's something by Dead Roses. It's a guy named Greg. He's been a fan of my videos for a while now, and he hit me up and he's like, here's my debut single. I actually talked about it a little while back. It's called You're a Douchebag, and I talked about it in my Songs You Shouldn't Miss. I think it was August 2017 edition, and a lot of you seem to really enjoy that, and Greg said, you know, if I make a donation, would you be able to review my full-length EP? And he finally finished that. I'm glad that he did, and we're going to talk about that first, so make sure to drop a like on the video. I'll play a preview of each project before we get into it, and here's Dead Roses.
He's an asshole, it's what he is. What the fuck is wrong with him? He's an asshole, yes he is. Why won't he just fucking move on? Fuck, you don't wanna watch your back. Fuck, you don't wanna watch your back. Fuck, you don't wanna watch your back.
Self-described as if Nirvana, the Pixies, and Blink-182 all got together and made a band, we have Dead Roses from the UK with the EP Quiet Desperation. Quiet Desperation is definitely reminiscent of the early 2000s alternative and pop punk movement, and that's, I think, why I'm drawn to it a lot, because I have a special place for that in my heart. And it's not a sound that's just so much wearing its sound on its sleeve and its influences. It's more taking those influences and, yes, paying homage, but at the same time doing some new things as well. I would say that Blink-182 is the biggest influence that I'm hearing here. Obviously, there's some others that trickle in, and some of the tracks definitely differ from the formula a bit, but overall, I'm definitely surprised with how much I'm really enjoying this EP. Obviously, I got a preview by hearing the first song that was sent to me, You're a Douchebag. I played a clip of that in my Best Songs of the Month video, and I really like that one. I love how I think this new mix opens up with like some turntables, and then it gets into it. It's just really catchy. It sounds like it could be sung by Matt Skiba, and I mean that as a compliment. Definitely a good thing there. I think that the overall feel of that song is just kind of a takedown. It's taking somebody down who he doesn't feel is right for this girl, and I think he wants it for herself. So it's one of those things where you know you've been in that situation, even you know, if it's just a friendship, a relationship, whatever it might be, you're in that spot where you're just like, this person's an asshole, why are you hanging out with them? The title track, Quiet Desperation, opens this album up, and I really like the drum and guitar groove that this song gets into. It does take a little bit to get going, and that would be my only complaint there, and the vocals are maybe a little bit quiet in the mix, but as this song grows, you really start to see what this EP is going to be. And that continues into the next song, which is probably honestly my favorite on the entire EP, Immortal Heart. This song has some great harmonies. I love the backing vocals here, just really cool. That chorus is big, and that's why pop punk is pop punk in the first place. They're known for those soaring pop hooks, and whenever you've got these nailed down on your debut EP, then I think that you've got things going in the right direction. This song really struck me. It's got a dark vibe that definitely is reminiscent of bands like Blink, and it reminds me of that in a very good way because it calls to mind an emotional response from the listener. So definitely check this one out. Guys, I'm gonna have this EP linked in the description down below. It'll be like on Bandcamp, or if you want to check out his YouTube channel as well. I really like that, from like the more power pop leaning, The Perfect Fucked Up Couple, where I really enjoy the female vocals on that. It's a girl from the band named Halo Scene, not familiar with them, but her name is 80. She does a great job opening up that song, and I kind of like the call and response and the way that that track mixes things up. From that to the intro track, Quiet Desperation, to Immortal Heart, which is definitely just a more emotional and kind of dark, but still kind of heavy and hard-hitting track, and then obviously the very fun When You're a Douchebag. I think this EP is definitely a win overall, especially for it to be a debut. More information about this project is in the description if you want to check out Dead Roses and this EP. It's only 4 songs, it won't take you long to listen, and I think that you'll enjoy. Me personally, I'm going to give this a strong 3.5, maybe even a light 4 out of 5 for Dead Roses with Quiet Desperation.
When I hate everyone but you.
I've never talked about the front bottoms before on my channel, so this should be a welcome surprise to a lot of you guys out there. I'm going to be talking about Going Grey, their new full-length project. Before listening to this, I went back, checked out Back on Top, the 2015 full-length, and some of their old singles and that sort of thing, just to get a feel for what this band was all about, because I really didn't have any exposure to them. My girlfriend's really into them. She said I should check out the new release, and a lot of you guys were commenting that I should as well. So here we are at the new Front Bottoms album. I'm actually pleasantly surprised because I just didn't find Back on Top all that enjoyable outside of songs like Help and a couple of other really entertaining and catchy fun moments. I wasn't that into the sound, and I didn't see something that was going to keep me coming back for more. But with Going Grey, there's actually more of that staying power, and I would say that this is more of just a refined alternative sound, whereas in the past, they've been kind of a cross hybrid between like folk, punk, and alternative. This one is just more of alternative. I think this record does a great job of just being down to earth. It has a nice blend of synthesizers, acoustic guitars, electrics, and the drum patterns are pretty nice as well. And for just being 2 people, at least in the studio, they make a lot of noise and a lot of songs that are actually pretty captivating here with Going Grey. I think some of the standouts are obviously catchy moments like the single Peace Sign, which is catchy. It might get a bit grating over time, but as of right now, I'm definitely enjoying that one a whole lot. And even the opening moment, You Used to Say Holy Fuck, that one's a whole lot of fun, especially the way that the vocals just seem a bit exaggerated. The stories here are often centered on reminiscing, nostalgia, relationships, and things that went out the window, like Vacation Town, where just life is blowing by and you're looking back on these old golden days, or even Grand Finale, where you're looking at the death of a relationship, but I think you're looking at it through tired eyes, and he's talking about the way that he sees it now, and the chorus there is extremely captivating. I was just really caught off guard by that one. Trampoline seems like a very different style for the Front Bottoms, but I like this one a whole lot. It's got these kind of chirpy synthesizers on it, and the way that the chorus hits, it almost feels like a bit tongue-in-cheek, just the way that it hits you. Nonchalant is just a term that applies to them in general, the way that they have an attitude on this record, and the way that they carry themselves. It's not that they don't care, it's just that they manage to take the feeling of not feeling and turn it into a feeling that you actually feel. Some of the tunes can feel a little bit flat, like Bay, for example. I don't like the opening to that one, the whole Bay, but once we get to the chorus, it actually just has a little bit more to offer, and I'm surprised at how much I like certain parts of that song. And that's the way that I feel about some of these moments. It's just like I could see myself cruising around. This seems like maybe more of a summer album, maybe even early fall, but this is something that maybe I see myself coming back to maybe more next summer. But as of right now, this seems like kind of a windows down, breezy type album that's not shallow, but it's just something that has a certain mood to it. I really think the best half of Going Grey is the second half, kind of by far. I mean, once we get to Grand Finale, things really start to light up for me. I love that song. Right after that is Trampoline. Even the single Raining, that's a lot of fun. It's got a different vibe to it that really makes it stand out from other songs here and kind of a unique appeal. And then my favorite song on the entire project, I think, Far Drive. This one has a lot of lyrical moments that I find very, very interesting. One in particular that says, you take pictures of everything, so scared to remember. Basically saying that you're taking pictures, you're taking Snapchats, you're posting on your Instagram all the time, but you're afraid to actually test your memory and be like, am I going to remember this if I don't have 100 pictures of it? And immediately after that, it just hits you with another little punch there, Everyone But You, where he talks about just kind of going on this little spree where he deletes all of his contacts, he gets rid of everyone, but there's this one person that he just can't get past. He's like, I hate everybody except for you. And it just feels like a really, really cool song where he's venting, and it has a lot of instrumental to back that in terms of its punch and prowess there. A really interesting track, and this album just goes out on some fantastic notes. Even Oceans, which seems a little bit off-key on purpose at first, but it really finds its groove. I was surprised with Going Gray. I like this album a lot. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a strong offering from the front bottoms. I can't tell you how old fans are going to respond to it because I'm not an old fan. I'm going to give it a strong 3.5 out of 5. I do think that I'm going to pick this up on CD. What do you guys think though? Let me know in the comment section down below.
What's it like to be erased every time you fall asleep? Waking up as a clean slate without a sense of reality.
Let's talk about the California-based band Movements and their debut album, Feel Something. Feel Something is the follow-up to their EP Outgrown Things that I absolutely loved. I was really surprised by that because a lot of these bands in the scene where there's like some screamed vocals and quiet vocals, they're just so predictable, dime a dozen, I don't care about them. But Movements had a passion and an inertia to them that really made me feel compelled to check out more of their music. I've seen them live twice. I really liked it, especially at Warped Tour. The energy got even better from their first performance, and I'm excited to see what this band does because this debut album is really impressive to me. I'm really vibing with a lot of the songs here. I got to hear a couple of previews of this album at Warped Tour before they had even officially announced it. They played Colorblind, they also played Deadly Dull, and both of those songs are just really, really fascinating. I love Colorblind, a great choice for the single on this LP. It's something where he talks about how he feels like out of place in the world, and a lot of these lyrics, they take the ideas and concepts that so many bands in the scene talk about, but they manage to filter out the bullshit, the stuff that I just don't care about because they know that we've heard it a million times. You have to find a different way to package it, especially if it's something that you're genuinely feeling. I'm sensing some Citizen vibes on tracks like Fever Dream and even Submerge. They tackle a slower moment in a really, really nice way. Fever Dream was the name of a song on the Citizen record, As You Please, that I loved, and again, I love this track. It's not the same as the other Fever Dream, total coincidence, obviously, but this one is much slower, and it shows off their vibe and how they're able to pull off both harder and slower moments. Right off the bat, we get Thrown into the Fire with Full Circle and Third Degree, both of those tracks just being absolute cutters that really blaze the trail. I think those are both fascinating for the sense that they're able to play so well as a band together. They're very young, they haven't even been a band all that long, but the chemistry is absolutely extraordinary, and I love both of those moments, and those lead into some more of my favorites, like Colorblind and also Daylily. That song really caught my attention because it's beautiful. It's slow, but it also has this really intricate bass line to it, and the way that it plays off of the guitar and drums, it's just perfect, a total eargasm. They continuously shift their sound throughout the LP. They never really land on one specific thing, but it all falls under the umbrella of rock music. And that's something that's really cool, especially for a band like this. How do you stand out? How do you gain a following early on? You have to be unique and you have to stand out. And I really feel like Movements pulled the trigger on that big time. They do songs like Deep Red that has a really cool outro on it, just kind of more ambient, and the way that it fluctuates there. That was a much heavier song, but they're able to pull off a transition so nicely into Under the Gun. And this LP does a great job of flowing into itself. It was made to be an album, and you can tell that they took their time crafting this project. I have to give a call out to the track Deadly Dull as well, because this one is definitely an emotional height for the LP, and one that hits myself, and I know my girlfriend as well, very, very hard. We were both very excited to hear the studio version of this song, and Deadly Dull is about Alzheimer's disease. It talks of a man that already lost his wife to Alzheimer's disease, now he has it himself. This song does a great job of luring you in with the kind of heaviness and thickness of the instrumental, just kind of a bass overtone that I really am feeling on this one, but it keeps you in there because of that lyrical content. There's more slow songs here than I was anticipating, especially with the heaviness of some of the moments on their EP Outgrown Things, and that's not necessarily a complaint, it's just that it hits a bit of a lull here and there. I don't think that it necessarily detracts that much from the EP, and it's solid quality. Some of the tracks blend together a little bit more than others, but the album does really just regain its footing, especially as it closes out on the gray. It's got a harsh manner to the song because it opens up with a vibe that almost reminds you of winter and just a certain coldness to it. But the way that they let you into that world and atmosphere, that's what makes this work. And it definitely has a wall of sound that builds around it, and I love the way that they make it all tie together. This album is really good, especially for a debut from a young rock band. I hope that you will check out Movements and their record Feel Something. For me, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5, and I think it's gonna have a pretty strong replay factor. Now we have Knuckle up on the table with their second full-length album, which is called Shapeshifter. Shapeshifter wasn't exactly something that I was highly anticipating, but their last album, Copacetic, was pretty good. I found it to be a bit heady in places in the sense that it just seemed like overly written in terms of the lyrics with its big words and big gestures that it tried to make. So with this new project, I found it to be a bit underwhelming on a bigger scale. They've kind of refined things, and the whole overall theme of what Joe Taylor, the lead singer of this band, seems to be going for is just not redefining their sound, but really growing as a person. And I can see that coming through, and it does seem genuine with what they're trying. It's just that a lot of these songs are kind of forgettable, especially ones like Double Helix. In fact, that one is simply annoying as hell to me. The chorus on that is just too much. I want to push it out the window. I understand the meaning behind it. He doesn't want to be like his father. I don't want your double helix, he says. He doesn't want the same molecules and makeup of what his father was made of because he doesn't want to turn into him. I understand the feeling. It's just not appealing. There's some predictable turns and ins and outs to this album. I mean, a lot of it you can see coming, and I don't want to call it generic pop punk because the instrumentals are often more the star of the show than even the lyrical content, the vocals. I think the instrumentals, they did a great job as playing as a group, and there's a lot of chemistry that you can feel, especially coming on some of these tracks like Stuck in Our Ways, Twist, that comes right after Nervous Passenger, which is a cool concept to start off a record. Let's be honest, he's riding in Chicago on the L train, and he's just pondering to himself, and he's a nervous passenger, and that sets the tone for the album. I feel like there's a lack of capitalizing on those ideas, and that's a present recurring theme that's a problem for me with this album overall. However, on the other side of things, I absolutely love some of these moments. Gone is great. It's so catchy, a captivating chorus there that you're gonna keep coming back to, and then Conduit, a slower song that takes you into the emotional and vulnerable side of the LP. Wait is probably one of the best songs that they have ever done, and that's right towards the end of this record. My only complaint is that this album is pretty short. It's only like just over 30 minutes, only 10 songs, but they did scrap a lot of material initially and then re-recorded a lot of it and just hammered it out until they felt comfortable with it. So I respect that. It's just some of the songs just don't have that bite to them that I hoped that they would, especially with a band like Knuckle. I feel like they need that, and this album even kind of goes out on just kind of a WTF moment for me. Plastic Brains, I don't really like that song much at all, especially the lyrics. I guess I understand some of the depth of what they're going for there and the way that they're lining things up lyrically, but what's hidden beneath isn't necessarily worth it to me. The instrumental seems a bit off as well, and the LP as a whole, I don't feel like it's that memorable. So for me, I'm gonna give the new Knuckle album, Shapeshifter, a 3. What did you guys think about any of these projects? Knuckle, the Front Bottoms, Dead Roses, Movements? Please sound off in the comments section down below, and especially if you checked out Dead Roses, go show him some love, let him know what you thought, or else sound off in the comments down below. Please leave a like on this video, and if you're able to, support on Patreon at that top link in the description. I hope you enjoyed the 4-in-1 format. It might be a little bit slow in terms of uploads this weekend. I'm going out of town to visit my girlfriend in Pittsburgh. We've got a busy weekend planned, but I wanted to get this out ahead of time. I hope you enjoyed it. My Patreon's over there in the corner, a couple of recent videos there, and I will see you very soon on ARTV.